Let's talk about David Gordon Green's Exorcist Believer, the Blumhouse, what do you call it? Legacy sequel, remake. There's a term I've been using for a while. It's either C-make or requel. When a company wants to remake a classic property, but they know it's kind of taboo to actually remake a classic. So they're like, oh, no, it's a sequel, but it's essentially the exact same story. Or no, it's a prequel, or it's exactly the same story. Whatever you want to call it. Now upon us for this joyous holiday season is Exorcist Believer. So the story here is this. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. You could probably figure it out, but I'm not going to tell you the whole story. The film opens in Haiti with Leslie Odom Jr. and his wife, his pregnant wife, are in Haiti, and their soon-to-be-born baby is blessed by a priestess casually. On the stroll while you're out in a flea market, a little kid says, hey, lady, somebody will come over and bless your baby. Come a couple stalls down from the beads and the trinkets, and you'll get a little voodoo jazz on your stomach. And that happens, and then there's an earthquake. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. There's an earthquake in which the wife is unfortunately killed, and then we flash forward to, I believe it's New York State. I watched to the very end of the credits in this film, and it was predominantly shot in Georgia, Savannah, but I think set in New York, it had a New York State production credit, so at least some of it's in New York. And several years have passed. This daughter, Angela, is now a teenager in school, and she and her friend at the end of a school day sneak off into the woods to go do something, and they go missing. 3 days pass, they have gone missing, and then they show up all of a sudden, and they're barefoot, and they don't remember how much time has passed. They think it's just been a few hours, and then things get weird. It's an Exorcist movie. It's about possession, so maybe I will tell you most of the plot of this one. If you don't want to know anything about this movie, I'm not really going to tell you any of the surprises in the film, but I'm going to tell you everything the trailer would have told you in the film. So the girls return from the woods with a little something extra, and it's not ESP like Sally Field had on TV long ago. They're possessed. They get increasingly more possessed in a way that brings to mind very intentionally 1973's The Exorcist. And in order to try to figure out what's going on and stop this exorcism, Leslie Odom Jr., the man whose character name I don't recall right now, he calls upon a woman who's seen this before. He calls upon Ellen Burstyn, reprising her role from the original Exorcist, the first time she's done this, as Chris McNeil, daughter of Reagan McNeil, who was portrayed by Linda Blair, the possessed kid in The Exorcist. So the mother of the possessed kid in The Exorcist, who hasn't seen her daughter in years, doesn't know if she's dead or alive, lends her expertise to this situation of possession, and things get wacky and wild and horrifying and gross and spittly from there. So it's not a strict remake of The Exorcist beyond the idea that somebody's child is possessed and they get all weird looking. But in the same sense, it's kind of the same story. The difference here is that it's twice the possession action. You have the two different girls who are possessed in sync, so to speak, and who will survive and what will be left of them. So it touches upon The Exorcist Believer. It touches upon faith. Leslie Odom, the father, basically the main character in this film, is a man who doesn't believe in hoodoo witchcraft when they're down in Haiti. He doesn't believe in religion because, what God would allow his wife to die like that. And when approached by his neighbor, who's a woman whose name I don't know, she's a great actress. She's in a lot of stuff. She is a nurse of faith. She's the one who connects him with Chris McNeil. She brings the Lord into it, and he's like, I don't want to hear about your Lord. I don't believe in any of that bunk, that hokum. The parents of the other girl who is possessed, they're very devout. I can't tell you exactly. Maybe they're Catholic. I'm not a religious guy myself, but they're very devout religious people. The friend of Leslie Odom is it Pentecostal? People who speak in tongues. He's into the religious thing. So when it comes time for the exorcism, again, I don't really want to get into the details of this film. Again, this is not much more than you would get from the preview of the film. It is interesting in that it's much like some say about the grassy knoll. It is a triangulation of fire when they do the exorcism, where you have people from different faiths using their religious methods to try to save these girls and get these girls back into the land of the living, clean being that you don't have a demon inside you. So is the movie scary? Not to me, but I'm a harsh critic, and I'm not there's what I refer to as normal people. Normal people are probably going to go see this and like it. I don't think it's overtly a bad movie. I think it's when you try to hold anything up against The Exorcist, arguably the greatest horror movie of all time and one of the great films of all time. It's a really, really good movie. I don't care if it's 50 years old. I saw it again recently. It works. So William Peter Blatty, in his commentary for The Exorcist, I think it was The Exorcist, the version you've never seen, DVDs, he said that somebody spoke to him once and they said they felt like evil was woven into the fabric of the film. And that's how it feels when you watch the original. This movie starts off with some pretty good atmosphere in Haiti, and I was really impressed by how it creates an unsettling mood with how it's edited and what's going on and people talking over each other, and just a lot of tension and a lot of things that just don't quite work the way they're supposed to in just the lives of these people. But then it becomes a little slow. And then once the exorcism part, it's fine, but it's just really kind of the greatest hits of The Exorcist again. I've never seen a film since The Exorcist that involved exorcism that didn't really just take the best parts of what worked for The Exorcist and did them again not as well. And now we're in an era where they ramp it up so it's just louder with CGI and more whatever, and it just didn't work. I mean, they overtly, intentionally echo The Exorcist in this film with one of the little girls, Catherine. It's Angela and Catherine. Angela is Leslie Odom's daughter. Catherine is the other daughter of the other family. There is a moment where you're looking like the demon from the original Exorcist is talking to Ellen Burstyn and about her daughter, and your daughter's with us and all that stuff. Again, all of this is in the trailer. So obviously they're intentionally connecting this to the original film. But other than that, it's not as good. There was never really an Exorcist movie or a possession movie as good as The Exorcist. Some are fun because they just go crazy and get wacky. Exorcist 3, which I saw again recently, is really good, but we're not talking about Exorcist 3. We're talking about Exorcist Believer. Would you like it? What I would say about Exorcist Believer is the trailer is not inaccurate. If that movie looks good to you based on the trailer, you'll probably like it. If the movie looks terrible, like a cash grab to you from the trailer, I don't think the movie's going to change your opinion once you watch it. It's like I say, it's well made. It's David Gordon Green who gave us the new trilogy of Halloween films, which a lot of people don't like. I actually really quite liked the first one, liked the second one, hated the third one. And this is the same deal here. Same production company, same director. They do plan to make more of these. The end, not overtly sets up another film, but that is the plan. If it makes money, there will be another one of these. If this tanks hard, there probably will not be another one of these, and it's fine. It's not such a open-ended ending that it makes you feel like you're robbed if you go if they didn't ever make another one. But if you like it and it does well, there probably will be more. Surprisingly to me, I just saw this movie at a Saturday 1 p.m. matinee. A light crowd, maybe a dozen people or so. There was light applause at the end of this film, so the people who I saw it with liked it. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was unnecessary. Like so many sequels and so many remakes, it's just unnecessary. And it does feel like if you took the Chris McNeil character out of this, it's got no connection to The Exorcist whatsoever. They forced that. If they couldn't have gotten Ellen Burstyn to come back, this would just be a remake. It would just be another exorcism movie. Much like, I mean, again, it's the same template as the new Halloween films. It's do a sequel to an iconic film many years later that has already had sequels that were never as good as the original, and get the original cast back. Get somebody from the original back. It'll be a big deal. It'll be more legit if we get somebody to come back. Ellen Burstyn is fine in it. It's nice to see her on the big screen again. It's interesting to see her as that character again 50 years later, but she's not really in it that much, just so you know. It's not 2 hours of Ellen Burstyn. It's maybe 15, 20 minutes of Ellen Burstyn at best. But anyway, in theaters now, I'm very curious to hear what everybody thinks. In theaters now is The Exorcist Believer.